Hey everybody, it's Wendy. Welcome! You get to see my face again today. I have remedied a couple of things from my last video, which one of those was I noticed I kept watching myself in the video instead of looking at the camera. It's very difficult to do face to face and not look weird. So I quit doing that because that was weird, and I accomplished that by putting a post-it note over where my face is. So now I can't look at myself. I have to look at the camera, at you. And then the second thing is I'm still toying with lighting. I have this fantastic room that's got this gorgeous picture window. And if I didn't wear glasses, then lighting would not be an issue at all. But because I do, I constantly have a glare in my glasses. But we're gonna work all this out. I'm gonna get it fixed so that I don't have any of these issues. I promise, at some point. But for now, I'm just gonna keep doing my Wednesday videos face to face with you. One thing I wanted to remind you of is if you're part of my email subscriber list, you will receive free emails from me every Wednesday. And I have a special video that comes out occasionally on Wednesdays. It's exclusive just to my email subscribers. So if you're interested in getting that, you wanna make sure that you sign up over on my blog to get my emails. You can either sign up at the very top of the website, or you can sign up just below the blog post, or over on the right hand side of the screen, there is a little place that asks you to sign up for my emails, and there's a picture of me. So you could do that at any of those places. So today's video is using an ink smushing technique, and we're gonna make this card. Hope you can see it okay, because I can't see myself now. And so in my blog post, I shared with you that this card really reminds me of like an acid trip meets the Grateful Dead. And I don't know any of those, how that's possible, because I've never been on acid. I've never had an acid trip. But I'm guessing this is what it would look like. And then I added this little bear, and so then that made me think of the Grateful Dead, because they have that little bear with like the psychedelic backgrounds and stuff. So anyway, it ended up being a really fun card. I made it for my niece Sadie. She's turning 9 this month, and I hope that you check out the blog post with the pictures, and I hope that you tune in for the video so you can see how cool this technique is. All right, I'll see you at my stamp table. Hey, okay, so we're at my stamp table, and I've got the Happy Birthday Thinlit here, which I just want to show you. I've already cut out the stuff, but I just thought I would show this to you. It's such a great size. I really think that it's a must-have in your collection for your happy birthday sentiments. And then I've got my Ranger, this mat that I'm using here is from Ranger. It's really big, and it's I don't know, like kind of like a silicone mat, I guess you could say. It's not silicone. You can't use it with heat, I don't think, but maybe you can, I don't know. This is how I store all my little ink spots. I get these little ink spots from my paper pumpkin kits, and then I just save them in these little that little container so that I have them handy. And I'm just taking some ink and smushing it out onto this mat. I will link to this mat in my blog post, and you can always access the supply lists for all my projects in the description below the video in the link, then it will take you over to my blog post. So I'm using Lemon Lime Twist, Bermuda Bay, and Flirty Flamingo, and then I am going to spray the colors with water. And I want to mention, because I feel like this is worth noting, that the Flirty Flamingo and the Bermuda Bay can go next to each other, and the Lemon Lime Twist and the Bermuda Bay can go next to each other. But the Flirty Flamingo and the Lemon Lime Twist really shouldn't go next to each other. So I've got a piece of acetate here, and I'm just picking up the pigment, the ink, and then smushing it down on a piece of watercolor cardstock. And you can see I just have this really kind of crazy look that comes. And then I'm wiping up all this excess ink. Now, for me, I have to wipe up all the excess ink, reapply the ink onto the pad, and reapply it onto my acetate sheet and then onto the watercolor cardstock. That's two reasons. One reason is because I'm using complementary colors in this. The pink and the green, if they mix too much, are going to become brown. So I need a little bit more control than I would if I was using colors that could all go together well. These two colors will not go together well. So you can see here I almost laid my Flirty Flamingo down on top of the green, and I realized my cardstock was upside down. So I'm just smushing it down here to add more color, and I did this over and over and over again until I got enough pigment and ink on my background. You could leave it like this, you can add more, you can add less. It's kind of the beauty of this technique. It's supposed to be messy, it's supposed to look messy, and you can just kind of keep doing it, like I say, over and over again, and it's just gonna build on the color that was there before. So here's my finished piece, and I'm using my corner chomper from We Are Memory Keepers. I'm using the 1/4 inch size, and I'm chomping just 2 corners. Again, this is not a Stampin' Up! Product, but it will be linked over on my blog post. At the very, very bottom of my blog post, if I use any non-Stampin' Up! Supplies, I always list them. So you can always check there. Okay, so I'm getting some more watercolor cardstock. And I've got my little bear here from the Pieces and Patterns stamp set. And I stamped him once and I smudged him, so I had to re-stamp him. And then I'm just going to watercolor him in using Crumb Cake. I did think that I was going to use some soft suede, so I actually had both of those ink colors on hand, but then I ended up not. I'm sorry, I said Crumb Cake. I meant Sahara Sand. So I'm using Sahara Sand, and then I'm going to use my Aqua Painter. And I'm going to go in and paint this bear. And so I'm just using a piece of scrap paper here to wipe off my Aqua Painter, because I thought I was going to use both colors and then I changed my mind. Okay, so I'm starting out with a lot of pigment over on the left hand side, and then I just continue to run the Aqua Painter on the cardstock. Now this is a wet on dry technique that I'm using. So the paper was completely dry, I applied the pigment, and I started moving it around. You can do a wet on wet technique where you simply wet the area first and then add your pigment. But I just decided I was happy with the way this looked. I wanted some shading over to the left and it lighter on the right, and so I just kind of played with this a little bit and accomplished that without having to add any other ink color. I really didn't care how detailed the bear was, because frankly the bear is a side note on this card. The focus of this card is definitely the ink smushing technique. So if you are watching this, that means that you like to hang out on YouTube and watch videos of people crafting. And I have an exclusive video with this technique that is going out in an email to my email subscribers. So if you want to get that video, make sure you subscribe to my email list. I had an exclusive video last week as well. And the cool thing about my email list is once you subscribe, you will get access to all of the exclusive videos that were previous. So you'll be able to see those. Okay, I've got Lemon Lime Twist cardstock here and Basic Black, and I'm corner rounding the corners on each of them just like I did with the watercolor paper. The Basic Black is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. The watercolor cardstock is cut at 3 3/4 by 5, and the Lemon Lime Twist is cut at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and then it's folded in half to make an A2 size card. I laid dimensional tape all across the back of this watercolor piece because I did not want it to warp. And so I recommend that you do that. Anytime I have a watercolor piece that's been heavily saturated, I use this foam tape versus dimensionals, especially if it's a big surface. You'll see I use dimensionals on the little bear, but when it's a big surface, I use the foam tape. And again, that is going to be linked over on my blog, along with all the Stampin' Up! Supplies as well. And so I'm just going to continue all my layering process here. And then the next step is going to be to add my happy birthday sentiment. So the cool thing about this card is this happy birthday sentiment is really the focal point with this amazing background. And I have to say, like I said earlier in the video, I felt like this was like a very psychedelic looking background. And I think it's just because of the colors. That bright green really gives it kind of that psychedelic feel, the bright pink. And then you're adding in the ink smishing technique, which is very kind of all over the place. So I've cut this sentiment in black and then in white, and so I'm offsetting the white just a little bit so it looks as if there's a shadow happening under the white. And so when I set that off to the side just a smidge, you get that really cool shadow effect. All right, so I'm using dimensionals for the bear, like I mentioned that I was going to. When I have small items, I like to use dimensionals. They just work great. They're perfect size. So then I can add my little bear here. Now, I originally made this card for my little niece's 9th birthday, and I made 2 of these cards. So I usually make a card prior to you guys seeing it so that I know how it's going to turn out, because I don't like the unknown, folks. It scares me. So I would never do a technique like this without trying it first to make sure it was signed, sealed, and approved before I showed it to you. All right, now I'm adding my sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. You know I'm obsessed with those right now. They're just the coolest sequins. I love them. And so I'm adding those. Again, there'll be a link for those over on my blog. I'm just adding them here and there to add some sparkle to this card. It needed something. It needed some shimmer and some sparkle. I thought afterwards I could have used my clear Wink of Stella pin to add to the bear, and I just forgot. All right, so here's the one for my niece, the 9-year-old, and that's it. That's my card for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more videos from me, click on either one of the images that you see here. If you want to subscribe to my channel, click on the little circle that has my face in it. I always love getting a thumbs up, and I love getting comments on my videos. So if you leave me a comment, that will make my day, as long as it's nice, that is. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.